Hello there, welcome back to my channel. It is Tuesday, December 10th. I don't usually vlog on Tuesdays. We're changing it up a little bit, which I guess is my secret hack for surviving until winter break. Just keep changing it up, change it all up.
Come on, shake it up, shake it up.
Not really, try to keep as much consistent as possible, but adding in little fun things here or there definitely makes it more enjoyable. It gives you things to look forward to, and I don't know, I'll be honest, I think the time has been passing very quickly. We have the rest of this week. Next week, students come 4 days, and then we have a teacher work day, and then it's winter break. So today is a pretty normal day, but I do have some fun things to share. Tomorrow is our house day for December. So I have some winter themed activities that I will share with y'all, and got some book updates, all the fun things. Now, if you saw my last vlog, you know I was feeling a little under the weather. I would say I'm like 95% of the way back to healthy, so that is good. Other good news, I have been on a book reading spree because I am determined to reach my goal of reading 52 books in a year. I put in so much work at the beginning of the year, especially the first half of the year, and I don't want that to go to waste because I basically did not read from mid-August until the end of November because I got busy, life got in the way, but we're fixing it now. So in my last vlog, I mentioned I was gonna start reading How to Steal a Dog by Barbara O'Connor, who is the same author as Wish. I started this on Friday, finished it on Saturday. I really liked it. I think I might have even liked it more than Wish. I mean, the title was intriguing, but when I got into it, I just felt like I really empathized with the main character. So finished that one. Then on Sunday, from start to finish, I read the whole book, Hacking Project-Based Learning, which this is part of the Hack series. I've also read Hacking Classroom Management, Hacking Student Engagement, and there are a few others. I really liked it, and y'all know I'm a highlighter, so as I go through and read, I highlight things in the book, and I got some great ideas. Still, PBL is just one of those things that can be really hard to fit in when you have a curriculum that you're supposed to follow. However, I was telling my team teacher that we could do a whole PBL on, for science, magnetism, forces, gravity. Like, we can fit so many topics that we do this time of year into a pinball machine project where students have to design a pinball machine. So that might be something we work on for next year. That's a next year problem because right now we are just trying to make it to winter break. Then Sunday night, I started The Joy of Doing Just Enough, and I finished this last night. This was a super quick, easy read. It was okay. I loved the casualness of the writing style, but there were certain parts where I know it's about like the secret art of being lazy and getting away with it, but there were some things where I'm like, I think that's a little below my level of tolerance when it comes to laziness, and that's okay because everyone is different. But there were a lot of really good reminders about not going too above and beyond and not being an overachiever, because then it typically just means more work gets put on your plate. And I know that that's true, but I also have realized that it's just part of my nature. So good reminders. There is some language in the book, so if that is not something that you are okay with, I don't recommend it at all. But it's one of those books I just randomly grabbed at Half Price Books, and it was worth the hour that it took me to read it. And then yesterday, as my students were coming in the morning, I started Greetings from Nowhere, which is also by Barbara O'Connor. And so far, I keep telling my students, Wish had a dog, How to Steal a Dog, had a dog, Greetings from Nowhere, no dog yet. So I thought that all of Barbara O'Connor's books had dogs, but apparently that is not the case, at least thus far. So far, I am enjoying it. And this was book 41. So this will be book 42, which means 10 more. I think I can do it, y'all. At the rate I'm going, as long as I can sustain it, I can reach my goal. 2 super random recent purchases that I have to share. I got this new doorstop because I had just one of those basic doorstops, but it was old and kind of smushed, and I felt like it never held open my door. So I go on Amazon, and I say, you know what, they've got to have some fun doorstops. And I got this pizza one because it's just very on brand with me. And of course it has stuffed crust. I love it. And was it a little more expensive than one of like the cheap rubber ones? Yes. However, Every morning now when I walk in and see this, it makes me so happy. And my students got really excited about it. And it works really, really well, almost too well sometimes. You know how a doorstop will be sitting on the door and then you kind of use your foot to like kick it over toward the door? Well, sometimes I go to kick it and it like doesn't want to move because it has the grippy stuff on the bottom. But I will link it for you if you're in the market for a doorstop that actually works but is cute. Then I got a Woolly Willy because we did our unit on magnetism, and I was explaining this to my students and they did not know what I was talking about. But I love this not only just as an example of using magnetism. So if you're not familiar with these, this little red stick has a magnet at the end, and you use that magnet to pick up the little magnetic shavings that are in here. So you can use it to drag the shavings, and then when you release it, it leaves them there. So you can give the Willy guy a little hairstyle, and it's just so much fun. There's also Hairdo Harriet. But it's also a cool toy because it doesn't use batteries or anything. It's not electronic, it's just fun. And obviously it's reusable because you just shake it and it goes back to the way that it was. And I showed this to my students yesterday and they loved it. So this will be something that I just kind of hold on to. And then next year when we get back into our magnetism unit, I will already have it. I got mine on Amazon. But if you have a Cracker Barrel near you, I feel like I always see them in like the store section at the front of Cracker Barrel. Speaking of science, y'all know what's coming, okay? I'm figuring out this whole word wall thing as I go, so I'm just sharing it each vlog so you can see the progress. Our essential question this week is, what patterns of gravity do you see in objects? Yesterday we did our investigation. Today we'll fill out the rest of the word wall. But for the investigation, we used a paper cup and we poked a hole in the bottom with a pencil. So the first time we would like cover the hole, fill the cup with water, and then release our finger so that water came out. The second time we did the same thing. So we plugged the hole with our finger, filled up the cup with water, but we moved our finger and let go of the cup at the same time so that it would fall. And we actually recorded it on my phone so we could go back and watch it in slow motion. And that way students could see that the cup and the water were actually falling at the same speed. So rather than the water spilling out of the bottom, both of them were falling. And we talked about how gravity pulled both the cup and the water down, so no water spilled out. We so far kind of crafted our claim yesterday. I don't have it written up there, but we wrote it on our investigation sheet, and students were bringing up really good points. They're like, but wait, we're saying gravity acts on all objects, but then there's helium balloons which float, and what about bubbles? And it was a great discussion, and this is where I tell my students it's okay for us to make a claim based on what we're currently thinking, based on our current level of knowledge. And then today, when we dive into the textbook and start to take notes, we might go in and revise that claim. So it's kind of a work in progress, much like this word wall. And then here is the progress of our math word wall. If you watched my last vlog, it was a Friday and we were taking a math assessment. So I do erase the whole word wall. And we started a new unit yesterday on fractions. So we started by talking about what do we already know about fractions. So I have just some general reminders about equal parts of a whole, numerator, denominator, what each part means, how to model it with a strip diagram. We talked about unit fractions, and then the word partition, because that keeps coming up. So I want to make sure they have a definition. And then yesterday's lesson really focused on decomposing fractions into smaller parts. So I have an example with that strip diagram, as well as a number sentence, and then a number bond. And I think I'm gonna try this unit, building it out like the science one, where I kind of have these sections. So decomposing is the first section, then I'm trying to remember what we go into next. Fraction equivalence, something like that. But each section will essentially have like those magnetic bars to be able to kind of divvy up the board, and I will build it as I go. Eventually, I would love to have some headers and vocabulary cards and things like that for the math, but we're not there yet. So right now, we're just kind of building it as we go. And thus far, though, I have to say, I am really, really enjoying having this space dedicated to the math word wall. And rather than doing it on anchor charts, I like just building it in real time right on the whiteboard. All right, let's talk house day, because as I mentioned, today's Tuesday. Tomorrow is house day. We have house day about once a month. There was not one in November, but in December, we are meeting again as a whole group house and then small groups. So I've explained the house system before, but as a school, our houses are made up of students from all different grade levels as well as staff members. On house days, we meet as a house all together, a whole group. We do some fun activities. Sometimes we might have to vote on something, or there could be a certain theme for each house day meeting. It just depends. Honestly, I don't really know what the theme is for tomorrow's. I will find out either in an email today or when I get there tomorrow. But we then break into small groups. So our small group is anywhere from 10 to 15 students that are just our grade level. So I will have 4th grade students, but they are not necessarily students that I teach. They're just students from the grade level that are in the same house as me. In our last house day, we took our small groups and we went with buddy classes. So we buddied up with a 1st grade class. So our house students got to meet up with other students from their same house that were in a different grade level. And we did some fun activities. That was back in October. Tomorrow, we are just staying as our small group in my classroom. So I got to kind of plan out activities. And since it's December, I went with a winter theme. And y'all know I always like to be prepared, so I have more than what we will probably get to. But as I'm creating each of these, I'm doing it as its own slideshow for the month. So I had September house day, October house day, December house day, so that next year I will already have that ready to go. Of course, I can change out the activities, but hopefully my future self will thank me. So the first activity is design a winter sweater. I have done this with my students for years and years. I just love it. Basically, students get a printout of a blank sweater template, and then they're just gonna use colored pencils, crayons, markers, whatever they have to design either the ugliest, cutest, or funniest sweater. So when the timer ends, this is just a timer that I've inserted as a video file. They're gonna cut out their sweater, write their name on the back, and then they will vote on one sweater for each category. So ugliest sweater, cutest sweater, and funniest sweater. And then at home, I just had these little mini trophies that I got from the party section of the store. And I'm gonna give the winners each one of those little trophies. So that should be fun. I love a good ugly sweater competition. I'm going to read them the book Snow Day. Now I have the physical book, but it's also on Epic, and that's how I'm gonna display it to them. So if you're not familiar with Epic, it is a free platform with a bunch of digital books. So this is what it looks like, and you will notice you can assign it to your class, favorite it, and then you're able just to click through the book. So that is how I'm gonna display it to my students, just because it's much easier than trying to put the book under the document camera or walk around the room with it. From there, we're gonna talk about what is your favorite snow day activity, and I know what y'all are thinking. You're like, Michelle, they cannot have that many snow days in Texas.
Enjoy the snow, losers! I'm so happy for you, Kelly.
No, we don't have that many, but it has snowed here, okay? So we'll have the discussion about it. It's all good. And then I'm gonna ask them what they already know about snowflakes. And you'll notice this animated GIF, whatever you wanna call it, of the snowflakes is just something that I inserted. I literally searched snowflakes GIF and then found one that had a transparent background and inserted it over the slides. We're gonna watch, this is a SciShow Kids, it's right on YouTube, but it's a video all about where snowflakes come from. And then we're gonna make paper snowflakes. So I have already cut out square sheets of paper. So I just took an 8.5 by 11 and trimmed the bottom of it to make it into a square. And after that, we are gonna play the left-right game. So this is oftentimes used at winter parties and things like that, sometimes with white elephant gift exchanges. But essentially students are all gonna stand in a circle. Now you can play where there's only one gift or 2 gifts. I'm gonna have each student start with a gift. I'm gonna be reading them a story. So I found this online. It was a Frosty the Snowman version, but basically every time I say the word left, students have to pass their gift to the left. Every time I say the word right, they have to pass their gift to the right. And there are some tricky ones in there, like this, even though it's written out as W-R-I-T-E, when I say it, it will sound just like right, and so they will still pass it right. And then also I worked it into the words bright. So I have printed and laminated this, so it's ready to go next year. But as they pass the gift, when it gets down to the end of the story, whatever gift they are holding, they get to keep. So the gifts are gonna be in just these little gift bags. I got these from Hobby Lobby. I wanted a gift bag that was not see-through, so rather than a cello bag where you can see what's inside, I wanted ones that you could not see through. That way they don't know what's in there until they actually open it, and then I just have some like red curling ribbon. I got each of my house small group students a pair of red fuzzy socks because our house color is red. And I figured that was something like super easy. I ordered them on Amazon. They're not here yet. They're gonna be here today. I'm just gonna place them each in the bag and then tie it off with some ribbon. So they are all getting the same gift, but they don't know that when we're playing the game. So it should be a lot of fun. That will be kind of what we wrap up on. And then I just put in some directed drawings. These are all from Art for Kids Hub on YouTube. So I have how to draw a snowflake, and then I also chose how to draw a winter cabin, and then how to draw a winter village. So if there is time, I don't think there will be, but if there is time, I will let them choose between those 3 options. I have some end of the day thoughts to share. And with that, I do have a couple of funny stories from today, but this is my 8th year of teaching. And that means I have gone through this time period from fall break or Thanksgiving break to winter break. So basically the beginning of December. And every teacher knows this is a very chaotic time of year. There are so many events going on and feelings because you're stressed and overwhelmed, but you're also excited, and your students are feeling the same thing. Some of them may be anxious about winter break. Maybe they don't want to be away from school during that time, or maybe they have fun things planned and they're excited about it. And with all of these events and all of these feelings, it makes the time feel very chaotic and as a result, stressful and exhausting and all of the things. I have to say, at least thus far, knock on wood, that I don't jinx it, this has been the smoothest that this time period has ever gone for me, to the point where I don't really feel that stressed out. And I'm ending my day going, I had a great day. And I think it's because a combination of things. First, I think the relationships I've formed with my students this year are by far the strongest relationships I've ever formed with a class, because I've been very, very intentional with building classroom community. Second, I think it's just my mindset, and I know a lot of this is because I'm coming off of being out of the classroom for 3 years, so I kind of have this fresh perspective, but I'm really leaning into the things that I love about this time of year and the experiences I get to share with my students, and I'm focusing, as cliche as it sounds, on the positive rather than focusing on the overwhelm and the growing to-do list and all of the things. I'm just choosing to really hone in on the parts of this year that I love. And part of that is I'm preparing gifts for my students for just before winter break, and it's because I love gift giving. You do not need to give your students gifts as a teacher, but it is something that I love. It's something that brings me joy. And I finally got all the items in from Amazon, and I started assembling them last night, and I'm just so excited to give them to my students. I'm gonna share about that in a future vlog. I'm also planning, our winter party, and I'm gonna be cooking breakfast for my students, and I'm so excited for that. And so I'm focusing on those things rather than the overwhelm that it brings and, the lack of time, because I'm also trying to do Christmas shopping for my friends and family outside of the classroom. And it can be a lot, but I feel like I'm able to maintain just this positive mindset by focusing on the things that I really love about this time of year. And sometimes it's easier said than done, but just a little reminder. So here are some funny moments from the day. First, speaking of our winter party, we're gonna be making hot chocolate. And so we put together a sign-up sheet, and families could opt in to bring in certain items, and some of those items were mini marshmallows. But today, during snack time, the student who brought these in, I guess, didn't know that they were placed in their backpack. So the student goes in their backpack to get out their snack, and all of a sudden I just hear them go, whoa! And they're holding 2 bags of mini marshmallows. And I'm like, those are for me. Thank you very much. As much as I know you probably wish that you were having 2 bags of mini marshmallows as a snack. So it's little things like that that I just love. And then my students are continuing to work hard leading up to winter break, which is great. We started our fraction unit, and today, one of my team teachers, actually during our planning time, we had our collaborative planning for math and science, and she explained an activity she had her students do, very simple, didn't require any prep. They were having a discussion about how a fraction is a part of a whole, but what that whole is can look different. You have to define what your whole is. So she had her students go around the room and find wholes and then a way that the fraction is represented. So for example, I'm looking at my board over there. I have be a voice, not an echo. So they could look at this word and say, voice has 5 letters, 3 of those letters are vowels. So 3/5 of the letters are vowels. So after she explained that, I incorporated it into my afternoon class, and it was great because, again, no prep, gave the students like 2 minutes with a partner, go around the room, find 3 different examples of fractions. So one student said, oh, this book is 1/20th of all of the books that belong in this bin. Another student came over to like these orange juice bottles, and this one was interesting because technically there are 4 different 6-packs here. So they were like, oh, well, one bottle would be 1/6 of this pack, or if you look at the whole as all of them, then one bottle would be 1/24th. And the icing on the cake is when a student who didn't have a partner comes up to me and goes, Mrs. Emerson, 1/21st of the class does not have a partner. And it's those moments where they make the connections and you just feel so much pride as a teacher. Yesterday, we were talking about unit fractions, so fractions with a numerator of 1, and we were listing examples, and one of my students goes, oh, 1/360th, because that's 1 degree of a circle. And it feels so rewarding, and I feel so much pride, and I'm just so grateful to be able to be back in this role as a teacher, but specifically for my class, because, you know, I'm biased. I'm like, I have the best class, but I truly do believe that. And I am enjoying this time of year because I'm choosing to focus on those glimmers. And I think it rubs off on my students as a whole because they're not feeling my stress. I think students are very in tune with how we are feeling as teachers. And when we're stressed, it rubs off on them and it changes the dynamic of the whole classroom environment. And I feel like because I'm not feeling overly stressed and I am trying to soak in those little moments, it is making this time so much more enjoyable. And as a result, even though it is, you know, Tuesday, the week before or last week before break, when usually in the past, I felt like I always felt so stressed and overwhelmed, I'm not feeling that. Instead, I'm just feeling very calm, and I'm looking forward to all the fun things ahead, which, speaking of which, I'm gonna be vlogging, so stay tuned because I'm gonna share about what we're doing on the last day before break, some of the fun activities, and how I'm preparing to make sure I don't have to do a lot of work over winter break, and all of that will be coming up. So I hope that you enjoyed this vlog, and if you did, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. As always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to put your positive pants on, and I will catch you in the next one. Can I reach?